This is a talk about work. I don't even like the word work, it just sounds bad, doesn't it? But if you think about your work, you've really got two options. You can either go for an easy life, do the minimum to get away with, just get paid and get out of there, or you can really go for it and work really hard and do the best job you possibly can. Those are the two choices. And I want to talk to you about why I think the second option is better. And you've always got that second option. Even if you're, let's just say, sweeping the road, you can sweep the road really well and take immense pride in what you do and be the best road sweeper there is. So I want to talk to you about why I think the second option will be better for you. Not better for your company or your boss, but actually better for you. I'm also going to tell you how to do it. There are actually 7 things you can do to get much more enjoyment out of your work. And I also want to say that often this choice is made for us by other people. Often, whether we enjoy our work, whether we have satisfying work, that choice is made for us by our boss or by the culture of the organisation we work in. And it doesn't have to be that way. You can take control of your own life, including taking control of your work. So let's say that your work is not 100% perfect, it's not 100% brilliant. And I don't know, when you're watching this, whether your work is 90% enjoyable and good, or perhaps only 10% enjoyable and good. Maybe you work somewhere terrible. But either way, that gap between where you are and perfection is management's fault. In the end, everything's management's fault. But the problem is they're not going to change, are they? So you are the only one who can make any difference to anything that happens to you. And that's what this talk is about. How can you make a difference to what happens to you? So I'm here to say, ignore what management do, good or bad, ignore that, and do what's right anyway. But why should you? Why not go with the flow? And if you've got a bad boss, do a bad job, for example. And the answer is that the meaning of life is to enjoy and achieve as much as you can. If you want to get happiness out of life, then you have to enjoy yourself in the present and achieve as much as you can in the future. And those are the 2 ingredients of happiness. And that's what we all want from life somehow, don't we? And by the way, most people's plan is to enjoy themselves outside work and then to achieve as much as they can inside work. Although some people have the plan to enjoy themselves as much as they can outside work and then not really achieve anything at work. But I think ideally you'd be happy outside work and you'd achieve quite a bit inside work. Of course, the other way round's worth thinking about as well. So achieving outside work is also a good idea, definitely. And also enjoying at work. If that could be done, wouldn't that be good? Since you're stuck there for 5 days a week anyway, you might as well enjoy it. So what I'm thinking about work is that ideally we would achieve quite a bit at work, which would make us feel good, make us feel happy, but also we would enjoy our work, which would also be sensible since you're stuck there for 5 days a week. So the question really is, how can we enjoy and achieve at work, especially when management perhaps don't always do the right thing every time? So the first thing I want to say about enjoying and achieving at work is, imagine that you are self-employed. And people often say to me, oh, well, Chris, it's all right for you. You're a self-employed person. So of course you have to make an effort and do a good job because otherwise you'd starve. But I would say that everyone is self-employed, really. If you think about what you do, really, you sell yourself, you sell your time and your skills and your energy to your employer every day in exchange for money. And you are kind of self-employed. You don't feel the pain as quickly as I do, because if I do a bad job, they just don't hire me the next day and I'm out. Whereas you could get away with it for quite a long time before it catches up with you. But really, you are self-employed just like me. You're just selling yourself for time, aren't you? That's what we all do. And that's fine, of course. But it does mean that perhaps it would be a good idea to have a self-employed attitude. And if you do a good job at work, whether you're self-employed or not, it will mean that you're less likely to get fired or made redundant at some point. It will also mean that you're more likely to get promoted and you're more likely to get paid more. Certainly, you're going to have better job security. You're probably going to be given more interesting work as well. So it has to be good for you to take a self-employed attitude and to do the best job you can. Now, I think an interesting way to look at this is to look at a couple of circles I'm going to draw. And these circles are where what you do affects what you get. And what you get affects how you feel. And how you feel affects what you do. So there's a good and a bad circle. So let's suppose that you work really hard and you do really good quality work. What will happen? And the answer is you'll get thanks for that, and you'll get more interesting work because you're doing a good job. They'll give you more, and you'll get more and more interesting challenges and things to work on, which will be great. And that will lead to things like probably better pay and more job security and all sorts of nice things like that. And how will you feel about that? And the answer is you'll feel good about your work, and you'll get increased happiness, which is the objective of all of this. And because you feel good, you will then want to work hard and do a good quality job. So your do, get, feel triangle is working really well for you. But what if you've got a boss who isn't very good, or you work in a company that's inefficient and annoying? Or what if you've just been treated badly in previous jobs? So you turn up to a perfectly normal company, but you're already pretty fed up with the idea of work. Let's just analyse what's going to happen. So you're going to turn up and you're going to do this. You're going to do the minimum work and you're going to provide the minimum quality in order to get away with it. And a lot of people do this. That's their objective. Go to work, do the minimum in order to get paid. Minimum amount of work, minimum quality. But of course, the result of that is that they get criticism and they get hassle from their boss, and they get nothing interesting to do. They just get given the same old boring work because they'll just get given the minimum to do, won't they? So nothing interesting. Why would you give interesting and new work to somebody who just does the minimum? And that makes it harder to leave as well. You'd probably like to leave, but you can't because you're not going to get a good reference from your job, and you can't point to good experience. You've got nothing good on your CV. So you're kind of trapped in this world where you're receiving criticism and hassle from your boss. So that's what you're doing, and that's what you're getting. And how you're going to feel, and the answer is you're going to feel bored and fed up. And I've seen so many people who are in that circle. And because they're bored and fed up, they do the minimum amount of work, and then they get criticised, and that makes them even more fed up, and they do less, and they're stuck in that circle. And it is management's fault that you're in this circle. But the question is, how would you break out of it if you were stuck in this red circle? So where do these circles start, and how do we break out of these circles? And if you think about it, most people want to feel good about their work, and most people want to have thanks and interesting work, and they certainly want money and maybe job security. So we want these, but often we're doing this. And it's mad to do the minimum work and then hope to get money and job security and to feel good about our work. So clearly, if we're stuck in this circle, we've somehow got to break out of it. And we can't suddenly feel good. Oh, it'd be nice if management did their job and made you feel good, because if they did their job and made you feel good, you'd work harder, you'd get thanks, everything would be great. But often management don't do that. So how do you break the circle? And the answer is you've got to break the circle and do this. Even if you're not getting any thanks from management, if you were crazy enough just to work really hard and do a good quality job, suddenly you'd be in this circle, you'd be getting thanks, they'd give you more interesting work, money, job security, you'd feel good, and you'd have broken out of this red circle and you'd be in the blue circle, and that would be so much better. And you have got that choice. You can do this. So I'm really interested in the subject of luck. You know, are some people lucky that they've got a good job and a good boss and they enjoy their work and they're well paid, and other people are unlucky, they're constantly made redundant or they do a job that they hate? And I don't think it is luck, because I think you can choose which circle you go into. Now, you may have drifted into this one, and maybe the first job you did, you were just unlucky and you got management who criticised and hassled, and they thought that was how you get the best out of people. And then you found yourself in this circle, and maybe subsequent jobs, you started out doing the minimum, and so you were in this circle straight away. And that is unlucky. But whether you break out of it, I don't think it's got anything to do with luck. And, maybe you just never knew that these two circles existed. But now that you've seen me telling you this, you've now got no excuse for not choosing this circle. So now that luck element has gone and you've got control of your life. But what does working hard and doing a good quality job really mean? What does it look like? Well, I've got 7 things you can do to move from here to here. And weirdly, they spell out how to close the gap. So you've got how to close the gap. And I'm going to quickly run through these 7 ideas. And if you do these, you will then have become this person. You'll get thanks for what you do. You'll feel good about your work. And you won't be losing out 5 days a week of every week of your life. So, what's the first one? And the first one is to help other people. To offer to help. And this might be colleagues in your team, it might be other departments, it might be customers, but helping other people. Now, why is this worth doing? Because it's going to take your time and energy for no benefit. But the great thing about helping other people is you get a double benefit from it, actually. First of all, it feels good to do. It does feel good. But the other thing is that you reap what you sow. So if you help them, they will help you at some point in the future. And maybe they won't all. Maybe some of your help will be kind of wasted. But some of the people you help will help you hugely in the future and it will pay back. So it feels good at the time and it pays back in the future. So that's the first thing. Take every opportunity to help other people. Offer to help other people. Now, the second one is fairly obvious, and this is just to work hard. And the point is, you're stuck there anyway for 8 hours a day, so you might as well work rather than not work. The time goes quicker when you're working hard. And you'll get better results and you'll get thanked and things. So working hard just seems obvious, but it took me a while to discover that one. When I was an apprentice, we all used to skive the whole time. And I used to actually sleep in the waste recycling skip. I would lie there like a sort of big fat hamster in the sunshine, and it was brilliant. But after a while, I just started thinking, I'm bored with this. There's got to be more to life than this. I want to do a job that I'm proud of. And I started to ask my boss for work. What shall I do now? Have you got anything I can do? And you could see my boss thinking, oh, this guy's a pain. But that's what I started to do. And all my friends thought I was mad, by the way, to volunteer for work. But I found that the time went much quicker when I was working harder. So that's my second bit of advice. Try it. Just try working really hard and see how much better you feel about yourself and about your work. My third idea to move across to this blue circle is to volunteer for challenges. And I don't know about you, but I don't really like coming out of my comfort zone. It's much easier just to do things that you know how to do and things that are easy. But every now and then I'm stupid enough to get myself into a situation where I'm out of my comfort zone and I'm doing something difficult. And I always find that I'm glad I did it. I even went on a walk once. Well, it was more than a walk. It was a trek to Everest Base Camp. And it was complete stupidity. I just agreed to go on holiday with some friends to Nepal, to the Himalayas. And because my friend's wife was going, I thought, well, if she can do it, I can do it. I mean, how hard can it be? And it turned out to be really hard. It turned out to be a total nightmare. It was a real challenge. And if I'd known what it was going to be like, I wouldn't have gone. But actually, I'm so glad I did go because it was brilliant. It was amazing, the things we saw and the things we did on that trip. But if I'd known, I would have thought, oh, I can't be bothered with that. It's too much of a challenge. So sometimes it's good for us to be pushed out of our comfort zone. So every now and then, volunteer for a challenge. If they want somebody to give a talk at a conference, let's say, just say, I'll do that. And then afterwards think, oh God, why did I volunteer for that? But I bet you enjoy it, and I bet you benefit from doing it. So volunteer for challenges, and then you'll get more thanks, more interesting work, more money, more job security. You'll feel good about yourself, and you'll be into this good circle. Now, the L is learning. Try to be learning new stuff all the time. Volunteer for training. Volunteer for anything where you're going to learn. Because in the end, you're only as good as what's in your head. So you want to keep building up your knowledge and your skills. These days, it's not about physical strength anymore. It's all about mental strength. So the more you can learn, the better. And anyway, going on training courses isn't bad, is it? You can sit there, be fed interesting ideas, have a nice lunch or whatever. It's got to be better than working. So volunteer for every training course and try to learn as much as you can. And then you'll develop skills that you can use in order to do more interesting work. I read somewhere it only takes 5 minutes a day of learning to be an expert in something within a year. So if you study something just for 5 minutes a day, you can become the expert. And that gives you all sorts of options for either being promoted within the company or leaving for other jobs. You've got more job security if you've got more knowledge and skills. But also you can achieve more. And if you think about it, what's the alternative to learning? And it's boredom, isn't it? Just being bored at work. And boredom is just the most awful thing. So if you're starting to get bored, learning is the answer. I've just got 3 more things I want to tell you about on this road towards enjoying your work and therefore getting more happiness out of life. And the next one's a bit of an odd one, is self-talk. What you say to yourself inside your head. So if you're in this red circle, you might be saying things like, why should I bother? They treat me badly, so I might as well treat them badly. You know, they don't give me any respect, so why should I work? And so you could have, linked to boredom, you could have things like anger and resentment. And it's very easy to let these emotions control you. You might have jealousy as well. You might be jealous of people who've got good jobs or good bosses or whatever. And these emotions control us if we're not careful. And then you start thinking, hang on a minute, who's in charge of me? Is it these little voices in my head going, it's all unfair and, you know, life is unfair and I'm never going to get anywhere? Is that what you want to control your thoughts? Because you've got a choice of how you think. And you're actually choosing these emotions. Actually, you're choosing to be angry. But why would anybody choose those emotions? And the answer is because they think they get a payoff. We choose anger because we think it makes us stronger. But of course, actually it doesn't. It kind of makes us weaker in a way because we're not in control anymore. So I'm thinking, say to yourself, I don't have to be like that. Say to yourself, I'm a good person. I do a good job. I could choose whether I do the minimum work or whether I do a great job. I could choose anything that happens to me in my life. I'm in control of my life. And that's the kind of thing that I say to myself inside my head. I could choose. I don't have to do a job I don't want to do if I don't want to. I can find a better job than this. I can find a better boss than this. Or within this job, I can ignore my boss and I can choose to do a really great job if I want to. So say good things to yourself in your mind. Never say, oh, you know, I'll never be any good at this. I can't do it. It's too hard for me. I can't learn it. Say to yourself, I can learn anything I want to learn. I can learn to do anything that I want to do. So self-talk's really important, positive self-talk. Now, 2 more things, which I could actually talk about all day, but I'll just do them quickly. This second last one is goals. And it's really important to know where you're going. So don't just turn up to work and say, what do you want me to do today, boss? Have a plan for what you want to learn in your job, what challenges you want to take on so that you can learn, so that you've got a longer term future of where you're going. Now, you don't have to have a goal to be the managing director. You could just have a goal to be the best salesperson ever or to be fantastic at dealing with customers. But you need to have a goal of where you're going. And ideally, you would have goals for both your personal life and your work life, by the way. So think about what you want your job to ideally look like and actually write that down. There's lots of research that shows that people who have clear goals about what they want their life to be like are much more likely to achieve those goals. So think about what you like doing at work that you'd like to do more of and what you would like to achieve at work and actually write those things down as clear goals. And then they're much more likely to happen. And if you're thinking to yourself, I could never achieve those things, then that's just bad self-talk. So just say to yourself, I can achieve anything I want to achieve. So what do I want to achieve? And then write it down as a goal. And then say to yourself, I can achieve these goals and I'm going to. So goals plus self-talk is a very good combination. And you'll find that successful people always have those things. They always have clear goals and they always have great self-talk. Now, my final point is procrastination. And it's really important to overcome the tendency that we all have to put things off if they're a bit unpleasant. We put off challenges, we put off learning, we put off setting goals. And whatever you're resisting doing right now, or whatever you're putting off, will be the most important thing you could do. So whatever you're resisting most will be the thing that would add most value to your life if you were to do it. So maybe you're putting off getting qualified in something or getting some training, some learning. But if you did that, it would have a huge effect on your life. So what are you resisting? And can you force yourself to do it? And it's really important to overcome our natural tendency to procrastinate things, to put things off. And there are lots of ways you can do that. You can write it in your diary, you can break it into chunks and do the first bit. You can just plunge in and start doing it. You can get a friend to work with you on it. You can reward yourself so that as soon as you've done it, you have some chocolate. You could do the worst job first at the beginning of every day. But whatever it is, you must find a way to overcome procrastination, because that will undo everything else if you end up putting things off. We only have one life, and it's really easy to forget that and think, well, I'll just do it next week. I'll do it next month. I'll do it next year. Maybe next year I'll think about getting a new job, or maybe in the autumn I'll start to think about getting trained. And you can just put things off forever. And then suddenly you're 40 or 50 or 60, and then it's too late to do those things. So don't procrastinate. So those are my 7 ideas that will move you from this rather depressing red circle to the brilliant life in the blue circle that we can all have if we want. So remember, you're not doing this for the company. You're not doing this for your boss. You're not even doing this for the customers, although they will all benefit from you doing this, which is great as well. But the main reason you're doing it is for yourself. And I've had people say to me, oh no, I don't want to help my boss, I don't like my boss, or why should I help the company? Well, why should you, I suppose? But the point is, do it for yourself, and then everybody wins. Just always remember, it's your life. You only get one, you've got to make the most of it. And making the most of your life means enjoying and achieving at home and at work. Never be one of those people who enjoys their home life, but that's it. They don't achieve anything at home, and then at work, they don't enjoy anything at work, and they don't achieve anything at work. You're only getting 1 out of the 4. So clearly it's a no-brainer. Enjoy your home life. But the big thing is at work for 5 days a week. You might as well enjoy your work, and you might as well achieve at work, because achievement leads to enjoyment. The two are connected. So what are your goals for enjoying and achieving at work? And how are you going to move across into this circle where you work hard, you get thanked for it, and then you feel good about your work?